The metal sky of Station Hollow groaned like a living thing as the storm rolled in, turning dust into knives. Sergeant Cole Ward thumbed the seal of his breather and checked the horizon. A jagged line of burnt ship hulls, the skeletons of last month's evacuation. The dropship that was supposed to come back for the stragglers had never returned. He was the last blue beacon still pulsing on the rescue grid, and even that was down to a flicker. He crouched beneath a split cargo wing to take stock. One ration pack left, foil pouch stamped with the faded crest of the 7th Colonial. He sliced it open, the smell of sterile soy and salt rising like a memory of warm kitchens, then froze. The pouch was gone. A blur shot from behind the wing, kicking up dust and scattering bolts. Cole lunged, caught an ankle mid-scramble and yanked. A small figure tumbled into the open, clutching his ration to her chest. Her eyes were huge behind cracked goggles, face smeared with ash. Not local, too fair, too human. "Give it back," Cole said evenly. I'll share," she blurted, voice raw from thirst. "Just don't leave." She glanced at the horizon, where lightning stitched the sky to the ground. Cole's fingers loosened around her boot. He'd heard of the scavenger kids living in the depot warrens, the ones the evacuation missed. He gestured to the shadow of the cargo wing. "Sit. Slow sips. It'll make you sick otherwise." He offered a dented canteen. She obeyed, trembling. After a few careful swallows, she peeled the ration open and pushed half toward him with both hands. "I'm Mara," she said, like a prayer against the wind. "I thought you were gone. Everyone goes." "I don't," Cole answered, and found it sounded like a promise. They ate in silence, counting lightning. When the wind dropped, he checked the beacon. The light fluttered and died. He felt the memory of his unit move through him. 47 voices on the comm, then 30, then 5, and finally only his. He shook off the quiet like rain. "We need to get to the old tram tunnel before the next surge. It drains under the refineries, solid rock and steel. Safer than this." "Safer," Mara echoed, as though testing the shape of hope, and then, "I can lead." They moved through the graveyard of ships in low, careful bursts, Cole's rifle cradled against his chest, Mara on quiet feet beside him. Twice she warned him before the ground gave way. Subsurface collapses disguised beneath a veil of dust. She tapped a rhythm on a rusted strut, listening for hollow echoes. "War and tricks," she said, embarrassed, when he looked impressed. At the mouth of the tram tunnel, night was already pooling. The storm receded, leaving a hush so complete Cole could hear the drip of condensation along the concrete ribs. A faded transit map flickered under a film of grit. He scanned the air, listening. The tunnels weren't empty. They were never empty. They came in soft clicks and uncoiling shadows. Skimmers, all cartilage and teeth. Cole flared his wrist light, and the creatures scissored backward with an oily whisper. "Stay behind me," he said. "If they get close." Mara plucked a grenade from his belt so deftly he didn't realize until she had already pulled the pin with her teeth. "Close," she said, and tossed it down the corridor. The blast rolled like thunder, echo after echo. The skimmers fled deeper into black. Cole stared. Mara blushed, suddenly small again. "War and tricks," she repeated, and he laughed despite himself, despite the tunnel, despite the way the storm had carved loneliness out of him in clean edges. They reached the maintenance room halfway down the line. Shelves mostly picked clean. A cracked battery lantern, a coil of cable, a faded safety poster of a smiling worker pointing to a hard hat. Cole sealed the door and set the lantern in the corner. Warm light softened the brutal angles of the room. Mara curled on the floor, shoulders hunched, as if waiting to be told to move again. "You took my ration," he said. "Where are yours?" Her mouth tightened. "Sold them," she said. "For a rumor. People said if you lit 3 fires on the ridge, the ships would see. I kept the fires lit 4 nights. Then the wind took it." Cole sat down opposite her. Beyond the door, water whispered in old pipes. "No one should have to buy hope," he said softly. Mara shrugged, as if hope were a luxury like sweet tea. "You going to leave?" she asked, head ducked low. "You have training." "Beacon maybe. Men like you always leave." "Men like me," he said, amused. "How many do you know?" "Enough." A small chin lifted. "Enough to learn how to steal from them." The truth of it landed between them like a second lantern. Bright, sad. He rubbed his hands together to warm them. Finally he said, "If I leave, I die. If you stay, you die. Seems like we're stuck with each other." She blinked, then smiled, a quick thing like a bird. "All right." Sleep came in pieces. Cole took first watch, then Mara. When he woke to her whisper, he knew before she spoke that something had changed. The distant air vibrated. Not storm, not skimmers. A hum that was felt more than heard. "Engines," Mara gasped. "Real ones." Cole scrambled to the console, spraying dust from the dead controls. The emergency frequency still existed, even if the beacon had flatlined. He slammed the transmitter with the heel of his hand until it sparked, then pressed the call. "This is Sergeant Cole Ward, 7th Colonial. Survivor +1 at Tram B. Maintenance Room 3. If you can hear." The room answered with static. Somewhere above, the sky grew brighter. Mara stood so close he could feel the tremor in her hands. "If they don't hear," she whispered, "we can run to the ridge. Light more fires. I'll show you the fastest way." He watched the transmitter like a gambler watching a final card. Static, then a thin voice cut through, distorted and astonishing. "Copy 7th Colonial. Hold position. 5 minutes." Mara sagged with a noise so raw he pretended not to notice. Cole rested a hand on her shoulder. "Told you," he said, and realized he had, way back under the cargo wing. It had been a promise after all. They reached the surface as the dropship burned through the murk and settled on cracked concrete, wash-flattening weeds, stirring ash. The ramp lowered. 2 figures in orange vac suits waved them in, their movements almost comically urgent. At the foot of the ramp, Mara stopped and pressed the empty ration pouch into Cole's palm. "For luck," she said. "You keep it," he answered, and closed her fingers around it. "For memory." On the ramp she hesitated once more, looked back at the sepia ruins of Station Hollow, then up at him. "You won't leave me," she said. Not a question, not anymore. Cole tucked her beneath his arm as the ship's engine spooled. "Not a chance," he said. As they lifted, the storm reached for them with gray hands and mist. The station fell away, and beyond it the black line of the sea unrolled like a promise no one had thought to make yet. Mara's breath evened. Cole closed his eyes, and for the first time in a long while, let the future in.